Good evening, appreciate everybody coming out for Monday, October sixth, board meeting, call the meeting to order. Quick moment of silence. Okay. Approval of the agenda, motion.
Motion to approve the agenda.
You don't want to amend
Yeah.
With the,
to add the drainage, consideration of a storm drainage
I thought
study.
you already added it, but yeah, we can do that. Okay, a motion to amend the agenda to include the
Storm drainage study for Katie's Landing.
storm drainage study for Katie's Landing.
That'd be new business number 7. Yeah.
I second. We need a second. A second.
Got a motion, got a second, all approved, opposed likewise. Approval for the minutes and financial report.
I move that we approve the minutes and financial report.
Got a motion, got a second,
second.
got a motion, second, we got a second, all in favor, motion. Opposed likewise, motion carried. Guest presentation, LGC, Ms. Rain.
Okay.
Hi there, how are you? So my name is Melanie Bryan, and I am here tonight representing the Local Government Commission. But just so you all know, I am retired Deputy County Manager for Pitt County. So I was Pitt County CFO for about 20 years, and I work for the LGC, helping the units that are on the what we call unit assistance list, and I have Southeastern North Carolina. The unit assistance list is not a list to be perceived as punitive. It's an opportunity for towns who are struggling to get some additional resources and help, and then graduate back off the list. It would be my hope that when we review again in the spring, Lucama is strongly considered for graduation off the list. You all should know that you've been the sort of poster child for how to do it right in the last year's worth of LGC meetings, when we talk about towns that are behind and how you get caught up, because you all have the distinction of doing 5 audits in 15 months, and that's pretty incredible. I mean, that's an audit every 90 days. Now what the LGC wants to see is that you keep them current, but you're already working on your 25. It's not due until December 31st, so I would anticipate that your 25 is filed timely. And when we review next spring, that's a maintenance of effort. It shows that you got there and then you managed to stay there. In your agenda tonight, there are a couple of handouts. One is called the Unit Assistance List Scorecard, and one is related to performance indicators. We can start with either one, but what I wanted to do is just sort of give you a position, a sort of overview of where I see the town positioned and the progress you've made, and then again, what we hope to see in the spring with maybe coming off the UAL. If we start with the performance indicators, which you all have, there are some things in town that are already going well. One of the first things that the OGC looks at is percentage of fund balance. For a unit your size, the threshold is typically 71%. You all exceed that threshold. There are similar sized units, but when we look at the average of your similar sized units, fund balance is 130-ish%. You got to remember some of those are towns that are right on the coast that keep very large fund balances because of hurricanes. But it's an amalgamation of everybody. So you're better than the threshold. From a fund balance perspective, 8% is about 1 month of cash flow. So you have about 8 months, 10 months of cash flow. Remembering that not all expenses happen 1/12, 1/12, 1/12, and not all revenue comes in 1/12, 1/12, 1/12. So if you have money in the bank, if you had a disaster, if you had an emergency, if you got to pay 100% of your property and casualty insurance in July, that's why you want to have money in the bank. A negative in the cash flow world, I mean in the fund balance world though, is when you use it for recurring costs. Right now, you all were dinged for using it, but I think it's more related to spending ARPA money and one-time money that was washed through your general fund. So I think we've got to get, from a reviewing financial statements statewide, we've got to get past the ARPA dollars, because the big counties and the big towns put ARPA in a special fund. The smaller units washed ARPA right through their general fund. So it looks like you're spending fund balance because that's where ARPA sat, but it really was meant to be spent. So you'd be in more trouble with the feds if you didn't spend the money. So I think once we get past December 2026, when ARPA isn't commingled with other dollars, it'll be a whole lot easier to see. And I know in your budget this year, you did not budget any fund balance to cover anything in the general fund. So I wouldn't expect that to recur next year. We also look at the operation of water and sewer funds and electric funds. You have a very strong water sewer fund and an electric fund in terms of you posted we'll call it profit, meaning you made more in rate income than you did in expenses. Is it enough to continue all of the future long-term repairs and maintenance on the system or expand the system? Maybe not, but at least we have some systems in the eastern part of the state that never break even, and they can't set their rates to a point where they can break even. You all are fortunate that in your water sewer system you made about $80,000, and in your electric system you also made money last year. Again, is it enough to do all of the maybe deferred maintenance or long-term capital needs? That's why we recommend that you start looking at sort of capital improvement plans and long-range needs so that you are planning for those future events. And I know before Elizabeth got here, I had talked with Mr. Clark several times specifically about some long-term needs in the system. And the pole replacement comes to mind in the electric system. Right now you've got 1,500 poles maybe that need to be replaced. And if you could get to a point where you're doing, a third a year or a fifth of your system every 5 years, it's easier to plan and budget for. In the past, you would have gotten dinged for a late audit. Well, now your audits are not late, that one should go away. Budget violations, meaning did you overspend a department or get a grant, you spent the grant but you didn't do the budget amendment. I think I heard you all already accept the finance report tonight, so you're actually looking at the numbers, and it's a whole lot easier when you're looking at current numbers, when your audits are current, when your books are current, when your bank reconciliations are current, to make sure you are taking the actions that you need as you need them. You have a new permanent manager now, so you've got somebody that's here, we hope for the long term, that's watching your bottom line, that's making you aware of things as they occur. And again, as your financials are current, and I would hope that the auditor is here before the end of, maybe like a Christmas present, she's here delivering the news of your 25 report before Christmas. She's determined to get units in the East Current, and be glad that she jumped on getting you guys there. Didn't happen without your staff though, without Dina being willing to do whatever it took to pull the reports and pull the documents and answer the questions and that kind of thing. But I think you have a good team working together now. On the actual scorecard, if we look at the general fund, you're slightly over the score threshold, but again, part of that's your spend down of ARPA, which would go away. Part of that is, whether you've used, again, fund balance for operations and your available fund balance. Back on this earlier, I should have pointed this out earlier, and you can see this is ARPA year, where your fund balance is very, very big, very, 150%. So to the LGC, it looks like a trend of spending it down, when it's really, you're just spending it as it was. So these scores on the scorecard go away when ARPA's spent and done. The other issues where you all get on the UAL is your internal controls, late audits, late reconciliations, budget violations. But again, the late audit percentage starts going away now. The reconciliation's not timely goes away, because everything has to be current in order for the audit to be current. And as those points go away, down drops your score. And then once we're below thresholds, off of the UAL, you graduate. Along with being on the unit assistance list, I'm assuming that you all are probably on the Department of Environmental Quality's distress list. That's probably not a bad thing, because that gets you more points in the grant world. And it's a whole lot nicer to fund a project with a grant than with tax dollars or rates. So, I'd like to see you graduate off the UAL and then eventually graduate off the distress utility list. But right now, there are studies going on at the state trying to decide what's the best long-term solution for small public utilities, whether it's a water and sewer system or an electric system. I would say ride that list, get your grants submitted, get your funding that you can get. I know you've got some projects getting ready to kick off this year. That will make a difference in the condition of your system. So I think you're definitely headed in the right direction. We start reviewing the UAL again in May. Coaches like myself have input in that. If I were asked, is Leucoma a town that I think is ready to graduate? I think you are. I think you took it serious when the state said if you don't get current, we're going to withhold your sales tax. I think the town took it seriously when they said you need to get your audits current, and you went out there and you did it. Now just maintain it. We had this year something like 20 units that are having their sales tax withheld because they didn't take it serious. In a year, they haven't turned in an audit. But we have another town in Wilson County that saw what y'all did, and they've jumped on the wagon, and they've turned in 2 in the last 4 months. So, but they got the same auditor. So I don't know how much she's pushing them or they're pushing her, but sometimes it's just a matter of getting the right people on the bus to move something forward. But I would say that when Mr. Clark was here, he heard it, and you all heard it from him, and I know Elizabeth and Dean are saying the same things now, and I think that's the direction you all are headed in. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, so I always have questions.
That's okay.
Okay, so this scorecard, down here, it's got this 15 and then this 26. So we need, are you saying we need these scores to be 0 over here? Is that what we're aiming for?
So the way this works is, if you have a 15, it's okay. So when
Okay.
you exceed 15, so when you used fund balance in the last 5 years, it gave you 13 points.
Okay.
When your fund balance trend, it gave you points. But that goes away, so then those points drop the next time.
Okay.
And if 8 of them dropped off, you'd be back right there at the threshold.
Okay. All right.
So it needs to be like 15 and under.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we look
For
at
this-
it, plus or minus about 10%, because I'm not gonna say that we should throw every unit that has a 16 on, but if you went from having 0 to suddenly having 50, then yeah, it's probably something's going on and it bears a little more looking at.
Okay, and other than us not turning in an audit on time, what could keep us from possibly getting off of the list in the spring?
If
We haven't done everything that has been.
If
like-
Dana Lane came back and had 20 audit comments of something new,
Mhm.
but if you're doing the same thing you were doing it, the same way you were doing it, with the same people you were doing it with,
Okay,
we don't expect you all to have any new audit findings.
okay.
You know, if you had fired your bookkeeper and fired your clerk, then suddenly, yeah, there may be new findings in that audit, but, you know, as long as you're still doing the same thing, I don't see that there'd be anything new that would be surprising in your audit this year. In fact, I would expect some of the findings from past years to actually clear themselves in this report.
Okay. And what kind of bearing does this have on the DEQ distress list?
It doesn't, other than they ask us for a list of who is on the unit assistance list, and, they may give those units a closer
Okay.
look. You know, does it mean that you're gonna get 100% grant? No, because I've got UAL towns that in the latest round of DEQ funding were offered, you know, 80% loan forgiveness, 20% loan. But then I had some towns that were offered 100% loan. It truly, it's like an early warning indicator that if there are issues financially, then there could be issues with where you're reluctant to raise rates.
Okay.
You are spending way more on the maintenance of the system than your rates can support. You know, so it just causes, I think, DEQ to look a little closer. And your problems, though, aren't in your water and sewer area. You know, yours were definitely driven by internal controls and the audit. But sometimes it would be, a water and sewer system that they've done nothing with, and that would be the score. Then I think that's probably a bigger red flag to DEQ.
Okay.
Any more questions?
I just wanna mention to the board and to you, Melanie, that Dana will be here tomorrow for her field work. She's bringing 2 people with her, and our CPA will be here as well, so
Do I need to bring them lunch?
Yeah.
Dana travels with a lunch box.
she does.
Cause if they need lunch, please let me know in the morning and I'll be glad to go get it and bring it to them.
Well, I'll ask them that.
Absolutely.
But, we're excited that we're able to have everything, we're prepared for them, they just need to, they'll be here at 8 tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And when she says 8, that's what she means. She didn't have a staff person that could go with her one day, so I offered to go and be her fetch and get girl. I didn't realize that meant you had to bring your lunch, that she wasn't gonna break for lunch. And I didn't realize it meant I should have worn my sneakers, cause I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth the whole day. But by the time she left that day, she had everything she needed, and that report came out about 10 days later. So she's here doing your 25 review tomorrow. You could have a 25 audit by the end of the month, which would just be splendid.
And that used to be the due date.
I started saying the original
Yeah.
due date was October 31st for audits. They did extend it last year permanently to December 31st. But if you can get it in before that original due date, that just shows you're back where you need to be.
Yes. We just wanna make sure that we stay in good standing.
But yeah, Dina might be tired by the time she goes home tomorrow night.
If you need lunch, call me, let me know, I'll bring you lunch.
You need your feet rubbed, you call us.
Yeah, she didn't tell me the part that she was bringing her lunch, and so I didn't bring any. But I ate Tootsie Rolls off the clerk's desk for lunch.
Yeah, we should.
I was gonna say, there's plenty of candy here too.
You do what you do to keep your auditor happy, you answer their questions, and then they go back to their desk and do their thing.
Yeah, we don't wanna lose her.
Now, she is fully vested in Eastern North Carolina, so maybe you won't.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
Thank you,
Sir?
thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing
Appreciate it.
good
Thank you.
news.
Absolutely.
We're really proud of our office staff and the way we do
32 towns or 31 towns and 1 county on my caseload. And they struggle to find finance officers, they struggle to find managers when the positions go vacant. And sometimes they struggle to find an auditor. I have one town that sent out 26 inquiries to find an auditor when their auditor retired. It
That's
wasn't like they were even behind, they're just
Yeah.
it's sitting in an area of the state where there's not a lot of resources.
That's why we've tried to make sure that we keep ours updated and let them know that we want to keep them on board for the next year. I know that I think Dana, we got her at least another year.
She is sort of moved to a 60 to 75 mile radius. She's given up some of her further away towns so she can focus really on this area. And that's where her heart is. And we can sure, I wish I could clone her.
We appreciate her, I can tell you that.
But she's gonna tell you what you need to do, that's for sure too.
Well, that she will.
Cause she does that to me, so. Don't, but if she tells you you should do it and you do it, then you stay right where you need to be.
I don't think she's pointed us wrong yet.
She's
We
very
appreciate
good.
it, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Pull me back to green.
There's some loose girls in there if you want some. There's a big bucket in there on the counter.
Next on the agenda, the public comments, that one signed up. Old business certificate of sufficiency to set public hearing date for hidden treasure.
The town had received an application for annexation of the Hidden Treasure subdivision. We brought that to you last month, and we asked, that we be directed to investigate the sufficiency of the petition for the annexation, and I have done that. The next step would be to receive the certificate of sufficiency. It is included in your packet. And then to set a public hearing, what we request is that the board accepts the certificate of sufficiency and then sets a public hearing for November 3rd, which is the next, board meeting for the next month.
Got a motion to accept, representative?
I make that motion that we accept it and that we set the public hearing date for November
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
3rd.
Opposed likewise? Motion carried. Next is the budget change for 25-26, Ms. Owens.
If you would look at the memorandum that's dated October the 1st, one of the things that I'm responsible to do, that the LGC expects that I do, is to watch after the accounts, and if there is something that needs to be adjusted, that I make the adjustment. And you'll see that the rent for right-of-way for the railroad, that cost was more this year than what we originally budgeted. So you'll see that I had to take that, $504, made that account line item higher, and I took it from the contingency. You'll remember that we got contingency funds when you did a budget amendment last month, when we put in the toll, count rent. So that's what you'll see there for the electric fund and for the water fund. There were some dues and subscriptions that, the line item needed to be larger, and we took that, and you'll see the information there for the $197. So no action is needed on this, I just needed to report it to the board. I do want to pay special attention to the next, memorandum dated October 2nd, for budget change. One of the things that you always hear being said from the electric department is that one of their main jobs would be cutting trees and trimming back trees and keeping them off the lines and things like that. And we have a truck that helps them do that. That truck has had some issues, some problems. There needed to be some work done on the bucket itself, also on the boom, also on the chains underneath, and needing to bring it up to date. So what you see there, we needed to make an adjustment for, or an addition to the maintenance and repair for vehicles. You'll see that amount there, $19,000, that's what the cost is. And we, made a change from the contingency line item as well, so we did that to keep that line item as it needed to be, and that's what you see there.
Anybody any comments?
Question about the right of way, the railroad contingency, is that, cause they went up on their,
Yes,
they went up.
yes. $504.
Now, that's not the total, that's the total
That's
for
the
the year.
total that they went up on.
Okay.
Number two, appointment representative for non-power agency board of commissioners, Ms. Owens.
The town is a part of Electricities, and with being that part, there are different tiers of membership, including the North Carolina Municipal Power Agency 1 and the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Agency. We are classified as a non-power agency member, and as such, there's a group of communities that represents, that is represented on the Electricities board. The non-power agency members, they also have a board as well, and our town administrator, Ms. Creed, has been asked to serve on that board, and she's been asked to serve on the board and then take nominations or representatives for that board. The town can nominate Ms. Creed, but they can also appoint an alternate commissioner for the board. The first action that we'd like you, ask you to take would be for the Board of Commissioners to appoint Elizabeth Creed to the non-power agency Board of Commissioners.
I'll make a motion to appoint Elizabeth to the non-power agency board of commissioners.
Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
Got a motion, got a second, all in favor? Opposed likewise? Motion carries.
Along with that, is there any interest from the board to appoint an alternate member? If not, you don't have to, just giving you the opportunity.
Would that be just somebody that could go if she could?
I could go, yeah.
I'd be glad to be that person.
That's fine.
One of us could
As long
do
as
it.
it's not me, it's fine.
Either me or Dennis, either one.
Yeah, yeah, we vote, yeah.
I'm lost with that.
Need a motion.
You wanna do it, Dennis?
I do.
Okay, I make a motion to,
Appoint Dennis.
appoint Dennis as
Got a
the
mo-
alternate.
Got a motion for alternate, got a second?
Second.